What's going on, y'all? This is Mike Brown, and I just wanted to say I hope you and all your loved ones are safe right now. Thank you guys for listening to the show and tuning into the show every week. I appreciate y'all so much for being on this journey with me. And also, if you like the show, please subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast. And also, please leave a comment. Let other people know what you think. Thank you guys so much for listening. This is Mike Brown. This is the art of letting go. Yo, what up? This is Mike Brown, and this is the art of letting go. Today, I have a special guest in the building. This man gave me, honestly, I think you were probably one of the first people to ever book me to perform music.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I'm so appreciative of that opportunity because it definitely boosted my confidence in what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Do you mind introducing yourself to the people?
Yeah. Hey, folks, my name is Dorian. Grew up in DC, living in LA right now. I'm a neo-soul artist. I do conscious neo-soul music. I'm a registered pharmacist, community pharmacist, a legal drug dealer in many ways. And I do created this new platform called Dorian's Live Events, health and wellness events. So beyond Dorian's Live Neo Soul and Yoga, health and wellness events that center around my neo soul music.
That's what's up, man. Before we jump in, just to bring me, you, and the listeners in not in a safe space, but in the same space, because they know it's a safe space, but to bring us all in the same space, we're gonna take 3 breaths together. So you could keep your eyes open or close them, and I'll lead us in those breaths. So you can breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, and we're gonna breathe in one more time and let it go. You ready to go?
All right.
So Dorian, man, how are you doing?
Oh man, I'm good. First thing that comes to my mind is I'm crazy. I mean, this 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 COVID-19 thing has really just dropped me into a mode where I have to reconcile all the parts of myself that I was avoiding pre-COVID-19.
Yeah.
But all the parts of myself that are just kind of I see it as the first chakra stuff, survival. Are my needs going to be met? Am I going to be able to eat? Am I safe? Is the world going to change? Has the rug been pulled out from underneath me in terms of what life used to be and what it is now? Who am I without all of the trappings and stuff of hitting the gym every day and planning my events and posting amazing pictures of myself, or what I think are amazing pictures of myself all over the city doing yoga? All those things have been kind of stripped away. And I am in a place where I'm forced to look at, wait a minute, who am I without all of those things? In addition to all of those different parts of myself, Dorian the fearful of the future, Dorian the insecure about my paycheck, all those things, Dorian can I bury my head in the sand and just avoid all of this? So I'm dealing, with all those different parts of myself right now. Like I was saying, kind of like Denzel Washington in Hurricane, all the different parts of himself in the cell, having conversations with the parts of myself. So damn.
Yeah.
Who the fuck are y'all? And it's like, oh, we you, motherfucker. We you.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are all the parts of you that come up in these kind of situations.
Yeah.
But have also always been there under the surface that are now coming up for healing. And deeper wisdom about self. So I'm good, but I'm doing a lot of inner work right now.
I think that is very important during this time. You know, like I was
Yeah.
telling you about me in the beginning, having to sit with all those feelings, and like you said, those different versions of me, and not being able to run to the beach or, you know, having all these outlets.
Yeah.
It forced me to deal with myself. And I think for me, the biggest thing with dealing in myself was really acceptance
Mm-hmm.
first,
Yeah.
you know, to really be able to heal those parts that, and still doing some healing work, but like
Yeah.
to really be able to get down to the root of it, like accepting that that's there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that word is a very powerful word, acceptance.
Yeah.
It's a really powerful word because um, it's easy to just like, for instance, like the part of myself that was I guess defined by what I was pre-COVID and what I am now, which is not that much different. It's just being able to look at myself without all those things, and like you said, accept what's there, accept that there's a part of myself that is extremely fearful of the future, accept that there are parts of myself that are extremely insecure without all of those things, and those parts of my childhood that link back to those to being back link back to those of not feeling enough. So accepting that it's okay to have all that stuff there, you know, because I feel like I've been taught that I have to be perfect and that I have
Right.
to put up this perfect part of myself
Yeah.
for people to see wherever I go. And it's okay to accept what's real, you know, because
Yeah.
those things are what's real
Yeah.
about me. And I have we all have positive attributes too, of course, you know, courageous parts and the warrior parts, but there are many varied parts, and it's wonderful. I think towards healing those parts, it's good to accept them, you know, to say, hey, I see you, I'm okay with you, I can resonate with you, I can spend time with you, talk to you. What do you have to share with me? You
Yeah.
know, inner child, what's going on?
Man.
And then, you know, he'll express, oh yeah, this is something you never dealt with. So let's talk it out. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I know for me, a lot of fear has been coming up. A lot of, you know, the perfection thing has came up for me a lot too.
Yeah.
And what I recognize for myself is my need for perfection
Mm-hmm.
has always kind of been my way of overcompensating for when I wasn't out and dealing with feeling like my sexuality wasn't, or was quote unquote imperfect.
Mm-hmm.
But I think even after coming out, I think that's still that practice of doing that for so long kind of just carried over into everything else that I just
Yeah.
dealt with in life.
Yeah. 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 I hear you on that. You know, uh, that whole thing of you are not enough is kind of drilled into the heads of gay people, LGBTQ
Yeah.
folks. You know, from the beginning, from the first moment that people realize that that we're different.
Yeah.
The folks from the first moment our parents or whoever are raising us, for me, as my dad, or they realize you're different, and the friends realize you're different, or even
Yeah.
people don't realize you're different, than you do. I did, and I knew that being gay was not what you should be. You know, I knew I
Right.
was different at 5 years old. So knowing I was different at 5 years old, I knew I was an other. I knew I was less than the boy. I felt that I was told that I was less than the other boys. I knew that what I was gay, I couldn't tell anybody else because I would be shamed for it. So that really, and my dad even told me, man, you ain't like the other boys. You ain't thorough. In DC, there was this whole
Yeah.
You heard it. I guess it comes from being what, thoroughbred, like maybe even slavery times I was trying to trace,
Man.
and that
Yeah.
he's thorough. He's a thoroughbred. He's a stud, a specimen. You ain't that. I
Man.
was told what I wasn't. So yeah, a lot of that insecurity or a lot of that feeling like I'm not enough and then compensated for it. Yeah, like you said, is from way back. You
Yeah.
know, I noticed that when I noticed it was when COVID-19 broke and I started posting pictures of. I've always noticed it that was there. Me feeling less than other men, and then and that had to do with the indoctrination, not because I am less than other men because I'm gay. That's falsehood.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
just the brainwashing of it, and then this whole thing of trying to fight against that and prove it wrong, which is exhausting.
Yeah.
But I noticed it when I started posting stuff on Instagram, and I had been posting pictures of myself doing yoga all over the city, and those are great. I mean, it felt like those were, magazine. I was trying to go for these magazine style images and commercials that so much of us are raised on, that is what we should put out for ourselves. And then I just realized that wasn't useful. Like I was posting that stuff and people are trying to get fed and trying to get food, and people are losing their jobs, and people are dealing with depression, and people are getting sick and starting to lose family members. And I'm posting pictures of myself, wearing expensive yoga clothing and taking pictures in front of beautiful buildings. There's nothing wrong with that. That's great, but is it useful?
Right.
And that's when it started for me. It was just thing of just the breaking down of the whole image, and what do I want to post now?
Yeah.
And I don't want to post things that are useful. And when I started to think about that, I was like, oh, so what do I post? Stuff that helps people through difficult times. And then that whole flood of why I've been putting that image of myself out there started to come to light. And it was like, oh, yeah, because you were told that you weren't enough. That posting anything that indicates, because I'm out online, but posting anything that is less than perfection or less than an image that I want to put out of myself, it's just so extremely devastating. And it shouldn't be that way.
No, not at all. Not at all. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you too, like, I think don't see all of your posts that way.
Yeah.
Some of the, like, to you may see that part of it,
Yeah.
but also to the people that are receiving it, like myself, I would say that is definitely inspiring. Like, granted, for you, it may have, like, the intention may have been for it to look another way, but putting your music to it or putting your lyrics to it, like, I think people need a lot of positive content right now. So just you posting a picture with your song playing, granted, it may look like for you, it may look like the typical yoga ad or whatever, but for me, I've never seen a yoga ad.
Yeah.
But I see Dorian at a dope place, and I see Dorian putting this inspiring quote behind, this picture, and I get what I need from that. So, I think your intention behind it is still serving its purpose. I do.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate that. I appreciate that positive feedback about what I'm putting out. And I love that it lands. I think
absolutely. Yeah.
Who we are, I think who we are always shines through. I think it is good to shoot for excellence and put the best quality stuff out there as we can. I think that, but what I want to say is that who we are will shine through all of that stuff. So I'm glad to know that who I am shines through that. And I think that's for many people, regardless of all the things that we have to reconcile with ourselves. Who we really are has a way of shining through. That soul has a way of shining through. it's just now what I feel like, and I'm not criticizing all the things that I've done, but now what I feel like is that I've gotten deeper into my intention. Like if I didn't know that that's what I was doing consciously, then that was a part of why I put a certain image of myself out there. Then there's this level of exhaustion that I don't know why it's there. That's there. There's this level of tension that I don't know is there. There's this level of fear that I don't know why it's there. And now I know, oh, that's there because there's this fear of not being enough. Okay, how many likes did it get? How many, how many comments did it get? Do people still think of me the same way? And if I just got a certain number of likes, if I didn't hit my mark, then does that mean that what I have is not worthy? Now I feel like I can let that go and just say, hey, it's okay to just be me, to still post some of the same things, but all of that self-judgment and fear is no longer there. And what that was also overshadowing is just my compassion for other people, my ability to really see how things are landing and to have honest conversations with people about how what I put out is landing and to be completely present because, and to say, oh, okay, what's going on in this person's life rather than just being so worried about if somebody's going to see parts of myself that I don't want folks to see. It just enables me to let go of all that extra shit, that extra judgment, and just be more present, be me. Hey, I'm here. I'm showing up on wherever I am, social media, at this event, and I can show up as me and not have all the extra voices and judgments that usually show up with me. I think Ian Levant was doing this live thing with Essence, and her window was kind of causing just crazy stuff to go on during the lighting when she was recording at home, and they were saying, hey, can you get up and close your window? And then the connection kept going out too, and she was like, no. She was like, let me just forget about all that stuff. Let's just be in this moment together, as imperfect as it may seem. Let me get out what I need to get out without worrying about how it looks all the time. It's just me. I'm here. I ain't got a whole bunch of makeup on. I ain't got this. I ain't got lighting. I ain't got that. It's just me. And that's enough. You can add all the other stuff on, but you got to know that just you are enough. And that's what's coming out for me.
That's what's up, man. And I appreciate you sharing that because I think that's what really inspired me too, is I saw, Diddy had did like a State of the Union or something like that. And everybody looked like a Zoom call to me. And people's cameras was messing up. The audio was messing up. And I was like, I'm stressing like the quality of my video. And you have this platform of all these superstar Black celebrities literally doing the same thing that I'm worried about doing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if they could do this shit, I can do this shit too. And just because I really I think none of them have really had to operate the shit themselves. It's almost like I'm better than them and not that I'm better than them, but I'm more knowledgeable in my shit than I really think I am, because these people are having to learn how to do this shit, and I've been doing this. So it's like, what am I really afraid of? You know?
It equal what you have to offer is amazing, through your music. You said at the intro that I was one of the first people that asked you to perform live. That's like mind blowing to me.
It's the truth.
But I'm honored, because I feel like your sound, first and foremost, is like a lot of what I grew up on in DC. Just this real earthy sound, a real conscious sound. instrumentation is important, but consciousness is what I love. You know, when he was originally Common Sense. When Erykah Badu, Tribe Called Quest, when those folks started emerging, I fell in love with those folks. You know, that whole vibe, hip hop, neo soul vibe.
Yeah.
So when I was thinking about asking you to come and do Dorian's live neo soul and yoga plus hip hop with James, and I listened to your music, I was like, oh, this is great.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, man, definitely. So what you're doing, the karaoke, just creating spaces where people can come and express as artists, indie artists, or just regular people stepping in. I love that. And what you said, I think one of the interesting things that I found with COVID is that this has totally kind of equalized the playing space in a lot of ways, because if any of us had all the lighting and sound people and technical folks and costume designers and hair designers and makeup folks, all these people planning everything that we did, of course, our shit would look amazing like theirs looks, okay? All the time. Of course it would. You have a team of people working on everything you do.
Yeah.
So, and you have a lot of money behind it. So the flip side is, you know, when all of those things get stripped away, of course, there's still artists. There's still artists. A lot of them still have amazing things to say, but they also kind of get equalized with the other artists that are there, because the other artists we're all using the same platform.
Yeah.
So, and many of us don't have all that money behind us. But what do we have? We have a message.
Yeah.
You know, many of us have a message. And right now, what I think many people realize is that is what is really going to help people get through this time.
Yeah.
What's the message? What's the vibe when I get on with you? You know, are you helping me through this thing, or are you shaming me? Are you flexing and trying to act like, you know, you have more than me, or are you really relating to me? Because the flexing and acting like you have more than me, that's not going to do me any good. That's not going to do people out here any good.
Right.
Can you make people feel good? Can you inspire people? That's what I think is important. And not to say any of those artists don't, because they inspire me. I mean,
absolutely,
you know,
yeah.
It's just, I think it's helped a lot of people to understand that their art is extremely useful. Even if they touch, if it's millions of people that they touch, or whether it's, you know, 20, 30 people or 100 people that they connect to through whatever events they do online or whatever they say online.
Yeah.
Or interact with people they interact with. So, yeah, man.
How has the digital transition affected your business, like both as an artist and as I get, would I call you an event planner? Because I mean, you put together your own events.
Yeah.
So, and you know, the thing that I get the most out of all of your events is like being able to connect with people. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that healing aspect as well. And it's like, how do you translate that into the digital realm? Yeah.
So that was devastating when that thing shut down, because I was just starting to get to, well, for people who don't know, for y'all who don't know, I do live neo soul and yoga events. So usually people do yoga, they'll have some music playing in the background, hip hop, R&B, whatever, yoga music, traditional yoga music. Basically what I did was start to sing to people doing yoga and create a live music concert like experience doing yoga. So I'm singing while the yoga teachers I hire are leading people through yoga flows and calling the different positions and asanas. And I'm singing and talking about where my music came from, and also joking and laughing with the yoga teacher, joking and laughing with people as they do yoga, that kind of thing. So it's a live, unplugged experience. So basically, that live experience is gone, you know, in terms of that live interaction. Lots of people in the room, which is my huge vision. And, you know, we elevate together. So the online transition has been, we did one event And we did one event, and it was good. We had like a turnout of about 11 people that came.
That's cool.
That's not bad. That's not bad online. And I'm learning not even to think about numbers anymore. Just, when you do it, what can you create the best experience possible? If people enjoyed it, I'm thinking that I need to make the transition smoother because there's some equipment that I need to get, honestly, in order to make sure that the sound that folks are hearing in their living rooms or wherever they are is not going in and out. So there is, I think somebody told me that I need to buy a podcast mixer so that all of my equipment, because what I have is, can go through the computer and it's not ambient sound going into it. But what the wonderful thing that's happened is that I've realized that I've been wanting to launch this platform, Dorian's Live Events, which is health and wellness events centered around my music. So the Brother Breathe event, which is with a woman who does mindfulness meditation, trauma-informed mindfulness meditation for Black men. Her name is Ashley Wilkerson. That was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Because I'm not constantly singing. I kind of open the event with singing, and then we go into the meditation and group discussion, and then close it with some singing. So sound-wise, that was great. But what it did for me was allow me to say, okay, I'm full music events. I have to work up to that in terms of technical stuff. But events that are enhanced by music, by a performance, great. So that went really well. I even made some money off of that, even though
that's cool.
I know, right? Crazy.
Yeah.
And I also realized that that's one of the things I want to do. We have another one coming up where I'm doing a movie watch party. There's an independent film that a yoga teacher has created. And that's going to be presented through Dorian's Live Events. The event is called Baby with the Bath Water. And it's about Black women and issues of race.
Oh, wow.
And one of my music is actually in the film. So that is going to be my live music, followed by a discussion with the filmmaker, Silverlocks Films, and then a viewing of the movie, a live watch party on Facebook. And then after that, a panel with the filmmaker and then a woman who does trauma coaching.
Oh, wow.
Because the film centers around rape, race, and so many other issues in there, but it's just a 10-minute film. So it's allowed me to kind of give birth to say, okay, what's going to work online, and let me develop those things. And as I work on my live neo soul and yoga, that offering, continue to try to bring that online in a better way. Because we were talking about how things don't have to be perfect, but with music, you want to have a good quality, if you can, for a live event. Yeah. So it's there, the baby's there. I'm continuing to develop that baby online, but it's allowed other stuff to come through that I say, okay, this is going to work. In a beautiful way. So I'm making that transition.
That's making what's
transition. Yeah. Yep.
What has been your biggest lesson of this time? Like just this whole COVID experience?
Oh, man. I keep coming back to me. I mean, I'm all I got. This is who I have to work with. So I'm a single man. I'm not, I don't have a partner. My family is mostly back east. I have a lot of friends that are second family here in LA. But most of the time, I go to work and I have my coworkers there and I interact with people online and Zoom stuff and phone calls, of course. But I'm here in my space with me. So I'm dealing with me, and it's a time to study me. But I guess the biggest lesson for me has been the power of myself, and that sharing that me with other people, with my family, is probably just about the biggest gift I can give to them and to myself. So we've been talking on the phone, we've been texting each other as a family. And one of the biggest reasons I think that I kind of kept myself away from my family is because for many years is because I would only be sharing, again, it goes back to the same thing, man. I would only be sharing a certain part of myself, the achiever, like my achievements. And now I'm getting to a place where I say, oh, I could just share me, what I'm going through, what I ate for breakfast, how I feel about current events, a song that I may have liked or a song that I may have wrote or my events. So I guess the biggest lesson for me is that take me wherever I go.
Yeah.
Wherever I go, it's me. It ain't the version of me I want you to see. It ain't, who I think you need me to be, who I think would compete with you. It ain't none of that. With my mom, with my sisters, with my dad, with the relationship that I'm healing, they're gonna get me.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest lesson is that, if tomorrow there's all this stuff shuts down, that's who I have to survive this. That's who's going to help other people survive this.
Yeah.
The real me, this right here. So that's the biggest lesson is that, and people have always said it, what the world needs is, authentic people. But I never, and some people don't, they may not like the real me. They may not vibe with the real me. They may still reject the real me, but that don't mean that I have to.
Right.
And that don't mean that I don't know what I bring wherever I go. And that's I think that's a gift of this. If we get to the place where I have to, try to help other people get food or water, if it gets that bad, then if I have to be of service to other people because things have gotten to the place where people aren't able to have access to food or have access to water, and if the electricity goes down, I'm just looking at the picture of this. If this whole thing ever shut down, that I have to think about how my life can be the most useful,
Yeah.
and the most authentic and real. So that's the biggest gift, I think. That's the biggest thing that's come out of this for me. What about you? Are we allowed to turn tables?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Good.
Man, I feel like I've almost feel like every episode I've shared like a different lesson.
Yeah.
But I think the one that speaks most to me is like just really allowing myself to be. And just not pressing myself so hard. Still being my best and doing my best.
Yeah.
Having to have compassion for myself.
Mm-hmm.
That's been challenging.
Yeah.
But I'm working through it.
Compassion for yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even the one that you shared as well, that speaks so loud to me because I find myself moving different within like this time and seeing myself making decisions that are best for me and not out of obligation and guilt with other people or like anything. So I'm excited to see who I am on the other side of this.
Yeah.
Because I constantly feel myself shifting every day.
Yeah.
Everybody may not be ready for it, but I am. And that's all,
Yeah. Yeah. Compassion for self. That's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
That word, what is that word? Compassion. What is that like? Just being able to see yourself and empathize with yourself and be good to yourself and
just not being so hard on myself.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like there's a difference in being like the best and your best.
Yeah.
And I think for me, like I said, just practicing off old habits, I've always wanted to be the best. And sometimes being the best would get in the way of me being my best because I would get discouraged or I would feel like, going back to not feeling like enough.
Yeah.
But now, every time I'm giving 100% effort, I know like I did the best I could today. And that's all I could do.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do more or less than that if I knew I gave 100%.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's that that word compassion for self is really, really valuable. I love how that feels when I think about that word.
Yeah.
Compassion for self, because I can beat myself up. I could beat myself up a lot about things. Just being able to just see my own humanity, you know, and not necessarily in a bad way, just in a good way of just like, wow, you're amazing. You are doing, like you said, the best you can. Look what you've made it. Look what you've made it through. You know, it's okay to be quirky and different, and not just in term beyond just being gay, just being the way you talk, the way you walk, the way your body looks. You know, all of that is just saying, oh, that's all okay. You know, one thing that came up for me when you were talking was this whole thing I've been toying with about how people of color have been represented. That when we learn in the history books, and it's because there've been many black first black this, first black that. That oftentimes the way those people get represented to us, we are supposed to emulate them and follow in their footsteps and learn from their example, and all of that is beautiful. I love that, and I've learned from so many people, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. But what I find most helpful is their journey and what they did, but the other side is who they really were.
Yeah, the part that makes them human.
Oh man, the part that makes them human. I mean, that's human too. And it also makes them divine and godly, but also we've been given a perfect image of them. And that is not, I think that's the biggest disservice, because it denies their humanity, their realness.
Yeah.
It's made me forget that everyday people can do amazing things, because that's really what they were. Everyday people who did amazing things with all of your humanity, your realness. You know, there's a spiritual person that I followed for a long time, and he says amazing things, and that have helped me through a lot of times. But I believe his most amazing contribution to me was when things started, that his life started to fall apart. He divorced his partner, as he and his partner broke up.
Yeah.
Because of some things that, probably all kinds of complicated things, but that was the biggest one, because I was like, oh, I've always seen them as this perfect couple. And now, you know, they're parting ways, and that happens. But he's human. He's a human being. And there may have been mistakes he made, and there may be mistakes she made, but he's human. And that was the biggest testament for me. Oh, we are all human. We don't have to fit this perfect image. We can still do great things and not fit a perfect image. And for people of color, often they'll only accept one or two of us in certain fields. For a long time, that's the way it was.
Yeah. So
we don't, and those people kind of get to a place where you only see their perfect side. And folks get denied being able to have access to people who are visible, that are also don't fit the mold. You know, there are parts of them that don't fit the mold. But then the other thing I wanted to say was that by not always thinking that people have to be perfect, and by not always holding one person up or a few people up as the greatest of all time, that we have to be the greatest of all time, it opens it up to all the different varieties of people that can make contributions to life.
Absolutely.
And all the different varieties of Black people, people of color, that can make contributions, because there's all different kinds of us, you know.
Yeah.
That can make contributions. And it takes, for me, it just takes a lot of the comparison out of it. And you come down to, it's just, you know, once again, we're at that place where it's just a human being sharing their gifts here, you know, doing what they're born to do on the planet, you know.
Yeah. agree with that 100%. And, as I listen to you talk, like it makes me realize how much of my own, like just being human, I don't even recognize my own self as that sometimes, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And just having to feel like, and I would say prior to all of this, like just the time that we experiencing right now, but feeling like I had to show up in certain spaces different ways. And now like just showing up as me, like it feels good because, and I had a conversation with another guest about just not having an example of me
Mm-hmm.
growing up,
Oh, damn.
and just recognizing like I still exist out there.
Yeah.
I still exist right now, but I know there's a younger version of me somewhere out there, and I need to be able to show that person like this is what it's like to just be a person.
Yeah.
Positive and negative.
Yeah. All of it. All the journey. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love what you said about, there were no examples of you, you know. There were no examples of you. One from a LGBTQ perspective,
Right. Yeah.
there was nothing there. I don't know. When I was growing up in Washington D.C., there was no LGBT clubs. There were no couples, partners that I could look up to. There was nobody I could tell. I mean, I didn't even speak the word "I'm gay" until I was 18, 19 years old and in college.
Wow.
But then, so there were no examples we could follow, and to be an example of just a person, LGBTQ, a gay person, in all of your uniqueness is great. But then the larger picture too, when you said there were no examples of me, is that there are no examples of you because you never existed before.
Right. Yeah.
You are an
Absolutely.
original
Yeah.
in and of yourself, beyond gay, straight. We are all unique copies. I mean,
Yeah.
not unique copies. We are all unique creations. Everybody looks at the creation a different way, but we are unique. So there are no examples of us. So yeah, we can pick. It's good we can pick and choose from what we see and add that to our kind of palette of what we create, our life art. But for real, there ain't no examples of you and me.
No, you're right. You absolutely right.
We are creating this thing. So that just frees you up to create who you are, be who you are, and express who I am in a very unique way.
Yeah.
I ain't never existed before, man, and I may not, after this is over, I may not ever exist again in this form, So so we are all originals, and so that's why
I appreciate you sharing that. Yeah.
What? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's no other Mike Brown, which is why it's so devastating with these murders. Murder in and of itself is devastating. Black men dying. And COVID has definitely had me thinking about death more. And how this life is so temporary, because when you kill someone, when these terrorists, these racists kill somebody, they have taken somebody away, that they've taken away a life that's just gone. I mean, that beautiful form, human being, spiritual, it's just like it will never exist again. That's and I believe that people are still, the soul is still there, the ancestors are still there, but this thing in that body, in that form, gone, which is why it's devastating.
Yeah. And it's definitely been on my mind a lot as well, and just how to combat it, because we are everybody across the globe is dealing with COVID. You know what I mean? Everybody is having to deal with that. And then you add racism on top of that for Black people to deal with. And it just don't make sense for that to be happening in 2020. And, a lot of times I see people make the comparison of, well, it's Black on Black crime and this and that. But a lot of times in the Black community, and not to say that it makes it right or wrong, but a lot of times I find that, black on black crime comes from conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Racism comes from just pure hate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, so what do we do to fight this? Because I mean, you know, we could post all day, and not to say that I have the answers either. I really don't know,
Right.
but these are questions that are always on my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost seems like something that has to happen where the top of like just our black leaders to the people that are ground level in our neighborhoods have to connect some type of way and
Mm-hmm.
spread whatever message it is that we all come up with to really make this work, because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I think people have they probably touched into their power with this, with the Ahmaud Arbery
Yeah.
uh, murder, because lynching, because it was people making noise about it, speaking about it, that actually caused the local police to actually bring those two in. It's a shame that it's a shame that that's what was required.
Right.
But saying, but people coming together and talking about it and posting about it and sending emails and making phone calls and that and engaging people in office helped that happen.
Yeah.
So over and over again, I think people are understanding, and even the examples that we have from history, that coming together and speaking up about it does bring about change. Can bring about change. You know, can bring about change. It doesn't always bring about change. You know, it's an interesting. When I'm looking on social media, I'm always wondering, okay, how can I make a difference beyond posting? Because posting is important too. And I'm still thinking about that. How can I make a difference? And sometimes it'll be an email or a phone. I've made phone calls to representatives. But beyond that, that's something I'm constantly thinking about now, is that how can I, when those things happen, how can I make a difference? How can I, what action can I take? So that's something I'm working on in the future. It's like, how, as soon as I hear about that, what action can I take?
Yeah, and I that's been on my mind a lot as well, because, you know, like the post thing, I can post, but at the same time, I don't feel my impact from simply just making a post.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. There's some people who, and I think people are going to be of use in different ways through that. There's some people who are going to say, okay, the health and wellness folks are going to say, listen, you know, this is a traumatic experience. This is how you need to deal with the trauma of walking through this, of hearing about this and then having to go about your regular day. You know, this is how you need to deal with this trauma that is awakened in you. The activist folks are going to say, okay, this is how you act. This is who you need to call. This is how we need to organize. You know, after COVID is over, this is how we need to hit the streets. So it's like everybody can work from their sphere of influence.
And that's what I've been thinking about too. Like we all have our own areas of expertise. So like, you know, we work within that realm that we have.
Yeah. Yeah. That exactly. I mean, that, you know, we deal with racist macro and microaggressions every day on top of COVID. So it's going to take multiple things to kind of get us through these trials, these things that happen. I wanted to say something. There was something that came up for me. We were talking about, it'll come back. The black on black crime. Yeah. So that's something that I always think about. You know, growing up in DC, somebody was dying every day. I know you grew up in Houston. Did you grow up in Houston? Okay. Yeah. When during the 80s and 90s, when I was growing up, somebody was shot every single day in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And it was always by a person of color. Street violence that was happening. And there are people who are working on that. You know, It's almost like you people who say, "Oh, there's black on black crime. Why are you guys not getting up in arms about that?" There are people who are working on that. There are community organizations that are constantly working on black crime. So don't say that we're just ignoring this in our communities. You have all kinds of folks that are constantly trying to stop it. Community conversations, folks who are working with gangs, within the gang to try to bring peace, all kinds of stuff. So that's something we're actively working on. But that doesn't mean that we can't speak up about acts of racism and terrorism against Black people. We can do both. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. We can operate on many fronts as activists at the same time. And because we lash out, because we want to bring attention to and justice to people who have been murdered at the hands of white police officers and race and white racist groups and individual racist people, doesn't mean that we don't care about this as well.
Right.
It's important for people to know that. But yes, our community, Black, and I can't speak. I don't want to ever try to speak for the entire Black community, but it is something, that whole self-love thing is something that we definitely want to get stronger and stronger and stronger. That, hey, we got to stop killing each other. We got to stop lashing out at each other. We have to stop hating on each other. That is that's vital. And that's an ongoing work. So that hasn't stopped. That hasn't stopped. It's definitely dictated. It's definitely reaches all the way back to all the trauma that we've gone through as people, as an oppressed people. Oftentimes people who have been oppressed across the globe. They will often lash out at each other in many ways, because that's who they're constantly bumping up against in their communities. But we're working on that. The Black people are working on that too. Don't think we're not.
Right.
So yeah. Yeah.
That's what's up, man. Before I let you get out of here, I ask all of my guests, what is one thing that you've learned or one piece of advice that you've gotten on your journey that you could share with the listeners?
Wow.
Or even something that a younger version of yourself may have needed.
Okay. Oh, those are both of those. Yeah. I would say that that the journey for me, oh man, this is a good one, and I love it. And if it's okay, I'm gonna take the time.
Yeah, take your time.
You can always cut. You can always cut all the silence. But that what I have inside is extremely valuable. That what I have inside is exactly for this time and this place, and that the people who will encounter it. That what we have inside was centuries in the making. That when I've arrived at myself, me, this voice, this body, these ideas, these dreams, your voice, your body, your ideas, your dream, when we arrive at this place, we are the result of so many lives. So many people who survived. So many people who, what does it say? I am the hope and dream of the slave. But even before that, when we were in Africa, we are at this moment on purpose for a reason. And to know that what we have inside can make a huge difference in our own lives and then other people's lives as well. In any way we choose to share it, whether it's as artists singing, or whether it's a conversation with somebody on the street or at our jobs, or a child who, we may be teaching in a teacher capacity, that these vessels that we have, this vessel that I have, is extremely valuable. And to never, ever lose sight of that. Never, ever lose sight of that there's something that's meant to be said through me. And to be proud of that and to give birth to that. And that could be so many different things. It could be writing. It could be, watching TV on the sofa and enjoying a show and getting knowledge from that. It could be how I talk to my mother, how I talk to my sister, what kind words or words of encouragement I can get from them, or a laugh. It could be you interacting and sharing, exchanging wisdom or knowledge of the life journey. All of that is on purpose and valuable. I'm valuable. You're valuable. Take extra special care of this creation that's been years and years and centuries in the making to get to us. That's it. That would be what I'm learning. Self-love, self-compassion. Yeah.
That's what's up, man. Thank you so much for coming through. Where can the people find you, Dorian?
So I'm at Dorian Warrior on Instagram. I'm at DorianNeoSoul.com. So on DorianNeoSoul.com, you can access all my music, which is on iTunes, Amazon Music, Tidal, and CD Baby. So you can find me there. I'm on Facebook at Dorian's Live Events and Twitter at Dorian Warrior as well. So yeah, I've got a book coming up in about a year, Everyday Warrior, the book for your soul, which is based on my album. Just work kind of like a red table talk situation.
Okay.
Where I sing and we talk. So look for that, on Instagram. And then don't forget about my movie watch party that's coming up in a couple of weeks. I'll announce that on my page at Dorian Warrior. And then I'm also releasing Dorian's Live Neo Soul and Yoga, the playlist, in June.
Okay.
As a part of Black Music Month, which is all the songs that I've been doing on all my Live Neo Soul and Yoga events, releasing it as an online playlist for folks. But
that's dope.
All find it at DorianNeoSoul.com.
Okay.
Yeah. But I just want to say, man, I know you'll be closing out, but I appreciate your vibe, man. Thank you so much for having me on your Art of Letting Go podcast. That's dope. The Art of Letting Go. Woo! When you just think about what that means, there's an art to letting go of things that you don't need anymore.
Yeah.
There's an art to releasing. So I'm really grateful for you and all the conversations we've had in the past through events, and just really grateful for what you're putting out there, your music and everything, man. You shine, and I'm glad to be connected to you. Glad you're in the circle of light.
Man, the feeling is mutual, Dorian. Yeah. I appreciate you so much. I really do.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
Man, thank you for coming on the show.
All right.
Thank y'all for listening. This is Mike Brown, and this is The Art of Letting Go. Peace.
Peace.
Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of The Art of Letting Go. If you like what you heard, please be sure to subscribe to us wherever you listen to this podcast and leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Let other people know what you think as well. If you want to get in touch with us, hit us up on all social media at The Art of Letting Go Podcast. Also, you can send me an email, theartoflettinggopodcast@gmail.com, or give us a call. Leave a message. We might play it on the show. 213 394-2773. Also, if you would like to support The Art of Letting Go, we got some really cool merch, as well as we're now on Patreon. You can find us, The Art of Letting Go Podcast. Subscribe to us. Thank you guys for listening. This is Mike Brown, and this is The Art of Letting Go.